So we
Okay.
shall start. Are you recording, Jill?
Yes, just started.
Thank you. Okay, welcome to this Planning, Highways and Environment Committee on Tuesday, the 9th of March. First on the agenda is apologies for absence. So we have apologies from Councillor Pennington. And next is members' interest. Does anybody have any interests on these matters this evening that they need to declare? No. Thank you. So the minutes from last meeting, which was held on the 9th of February. Are there any comments to be made on those? Can we have a proposer then? Councillor Woolam and Councillor Cornford. Is everybody okay with the minutes? Councillor Page? Agreement on the minutes, and you're on mute.
As I didn't attend the meeting.
Oh yeah, you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't have any announcements for this evening, and there's nobody joining in the public participation session. So we'll move on to agenda item 6, which is statement of community involvement review. So this is a public consultation, and we're going to spend some time looking through this consultation. There's a number of sections that we're going to give feedback on. So, Jill, is it possible? Thank you very much.
I don't know. I'm going to say the top part is just explains what a statement of community involvement is. I don't know if you wanted to cover that first.
Thank you. So at the end of each page on the consultation, does it say comments? So every one we can add comments to?
Yes, pretty much, because you have to, well, you're supposed to do it online unless you ask for a hard copy. So I just printed off the actual consultation document.
Okay, so we get to at the end of each section, there's then online a section where you can then add comments to say section 1 and then section 2. So just, is it possible to make it any bigger at all? Can you press on the plus sign?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you. So what is a statement of community involvement? The council is committed to involve the community as much as possible in the planning process, as local knowledge helps contribute towards meaningful and appropriate planning policy. The more the community is involved in the planning process, the greater the ownership is of the planning decisions that shape the future of the area. The statement of community involvement sets out how the council will involve people in the planning process. It explains how people can become involved when the council is preparing planning policies, deciding planning applications and consulting on neighbourhood plans. The council has to produce an SCI as set out in the Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act 2004. Appendix 1 of this document lists the statutory consultees we have to consult, and Appendix 2 sets out the strategic planning privacy statement. So why is the statement of community involvement being reviewed? The council has to review its statement of community involvement every 5 years. We prepared this SCI review in accordance with the most recent national guidelines. It was last reviewed in 2012. Since then, communication methods have dramatically changed, allowing easier, more direct, more digitally focused methods, in addition to traditional methods of engagement. The updated SCI will reflect the council's current practices, and we will replace the 2012 version once adopted. Has anybody got any comments on that, first of all? No? Oh, Councillor Page.
I just wanted to say that that's a very clear opening statement, and sets out very clearly the need for this in law, which may not have been immediately obvious. And unless you've had some training in planning, planning history or background, you wouldn't have been aware of this. So I think it makes it very clear.
Brilliant. Excuse me. Okay, so what we will consult on: local plans, Every council has to have an up-to-date local plan. It is a statutory requirement. A local plan is a blueprint for housing, roads, businesses and infrastructure. Thanet's local plan sets a clear development strategy for Thanet, providing certainty for local people, agents and developers as to where development can happen and where it should not, and the types of development that would be supported. The local plan is a starting point for making decisions on planning applications and helps to guide investment and can help support bids for infrastructure funding. The council can also produce DPDs to include planning policies that sit alongside the local plan policies, for example, the Cliftonville DPD. The council has to carry out informal and formal consultations in the process of preparing a local plan, a DPD, or a review of existing local plan. The local plan, DPD, or reviewed local plan will have to be formally adopted by the council. Supplementary planning documents. So it basically says that they have to do the same thing with supplementary planning documents as well. And then neighbour plans, neighbour development orders, and community rights to build orders. Neighbour plans are prepared by town or parish councils or a neighbour forum in any area where there's no town or parish council. There are various stages in the neighbourhood plan process where the council has to carry out formal consultation. The neighbourhood plan will have to be formally adopted or made by the council. A neighbourhood development order means that the town and parish councils can grant permission for certain types of development without the need for people to apply to the council. This could include, for example, all housing extensions in a defined area, change of use, or development on a particular site. Certain types of development are excluded, such as mineral and waste development, certain public and private environmental projects, and nationally significant infrastructure projects.
That's section 2.
Comments on that, Councillor Page?
On the paragraph, the last paragraph, second line, I think it might be a suggestion to add the need for people to apply to Thanet District Council, because where it's referring to parish councils and town councils, it's starting to get confusing in that particular part of the document. So I think just for a bit of clarity, if they could include the need for people to apply to Thanet District Council, and then it's clear which council that goes to. Does that make sense?
Yes, so that's 2.5, is it? 2.6.
2.6.
Second line.
Yeah, without the need for people to apply to Thanet
District Council.
On the first.
Otherwise it gets a little bit confusing with all the councils.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Are there any other comments? No. Okay, 3. Who we will consult. We will consult with people who have registered on the Strategic Planning Consultation Portal when we carry out a consultation. Anyone can register on our, excuse me, on our consultation portal. That's quite interesting that we could perhaps advertise that a bit more actually. When people register, they are asked to indicate their area of interest, for example, district-wide, so we include the local plan, review and SPDs, or certain towns and villages, for example, just the neighbour plans or specific development DPDs. This is to ensure that people only receive communication from us on topics that are relevant or of interest to them. Statutory consultees are people we are required under planning legislation to contact in every consultation. These include government organisations such as Natural England, Historic England and the Environment Agency. The full list can be found in Appendix 1. It will be necessary to hold more in-depth discussion with some bodies and agencies, both as part of the consultation process and as part of the duty to cooperate. We want to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to get involved with planning decisions to get a good balance of views. In particular, the Council is keen to involve underrepresented groups or external agencies and organisations who represent them, often referred to as hard to reach, hard to hear, or seldom heard groups. We also seek to ensure that people groups with protected characteristics are able to participate and give their views. We will look at different ways to engage with different sections of the community and encourage everyone to have their say. We will consider methods such as sending packs, leaflets, or doing presentations at school, wider distribution of leaflets, publicity material, evening weekend consultation events, and ensuring consultation events are accessible to all. On request, documents can be made available in different formats. So do we want to comment on that section there? I think from my point of view, 3.4 is particularly welcoming. If if I'd like to see sort of an action plan, which I think is at the end, with regards to how the council will engage underrepresented groups and ensure that everybody can get involved with the consultations. Was there any other comments from councillors? Councillor Cornford.
I'm going to say that as far as residents are concerned, who are supposed to be involved with this, it's as clear as mud what's required. Does anyone else think that, or am I on my own with it?
I think that there's a section at the end which makes it a little bit clearer as to how they consult and the kind of the steps that they take. But I think that, you know, we could kind of perhaps add a comment to explain that that wasn't our experience. So for the fact that, you know, we've got the most number of houses allocated to us, we didn't have any informal consultation with TDC from the beginning, which seems quite strange, to be honest, because we're the most impacted. So that informal consultation didn't happen from the very beginning, and so I think that needs to be flagged up. And I think everybody, or a lot of people in Westgate, felt that they couldn't engage because the online questionnaires were very tricky. And I think it goes on to kind of say, you know, that we prefer you to engage in the online questionnaires, but I think we'll have something to say about those because they were quite hard to engage with, and the questions to engage with.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, coming at this, you know, as if if someone's actually interested in inputting on planning applications, which are already coming in fast and furious, we've only got to look at the St Mildred's Bay area and the development going on there. People are becoming more interested, and this is a vital tool for them. But I mean, maybe I'm being really thick, but you know, coming at it with very little knowledge. I'm not saying I've got very little knowledge, but as a resident, I mean, this is it's quite confusing what you're supposed to do and how you comment just overall. Or am I being really thick?
Yeah, I think kind of a question, do you think that these ways of consulting are appropriate? You know,
no.
Would you suggest that those kind of questions would be better, wouldn't they? I think that's kind of...
I mean, I would see our role in this as providing some guidance notes, some information on, you know, an overview of how you actually input with this. I would see our role as doing that. I mean, we have to comment, I know, but, you know, picking this up as an uninformed resident, it would be great. I would like to see from the town council, you know, a statement of, I suppose, you know, a statement that says, yes, this is quite complicated for if you're not au fait with planning, but this is how you go about it. You know, give some guidance notes. You know, we could guidance notes for residents.
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. I'd imagine that it would be, you know, reply to, you know, for thinking about this question perhaps. So, you know, how we will consult. I suppose the question is, do you think these ways that we're going to consult are appropriate? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, just some, you know, just literally guidance notes.
Yeah, what do they want you to kind of say, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, what do they want us to say? Because it's written, I mean, to the uninitiated, it's written as if it's a done deal.
Yeah, just comments is a bit.
I mean, there isn't, where is the word comment? I'm missing it, obviously.
Oh, sorry. So when you go online, this information is presented, and then there's a bit at the bottom to comment on each section. So you type it in.
Okay, I haven't looked at it online yet. I've only looked at this, which puzzled me, which is why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could add some guidance notes if that's okay, Jill.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, is that,
Yeah,
well, I don't want to give the town clerk more work. I'm just wondering if we can input on some guidance, you know, as a planning committee, our contribution.
Okay. Yeah, so if we go through then and contribute our comments, and then if we go back round and say sort of like, what question would, you know, a resident have to think about to comment on this section?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we've got, I mean, having mentioned it, I don't know we've got time to do that because it's, you know, the meeting is only so long. Sorry, I forgot to turn it off. I mean, maybe we could, can we take it away and put, you know, send in our comments, you know, workers, you know, send email to you as, am I going off?
There's only this page 4, and then page 5 and.
Oh, okay. All right,
there's not the hundreds of pages.
Okay.
So we'll see how we get through it.
All right then. Okay. Thanks for listening.
With regards to this, how we will consult. Okay, so on to this next section. Was everybody okay with the previous section? Sorry, Jill, can you just scroll back up to that one? So who we will consult. I think it becomes clearer with the grid at the bottom, actually.
Mm.
Yes.
I think that becomes a bit, you know, just reading through that, it becomes a bit clearer. So okay, we'll go down to 4. Thank you, Jill. How we will consult. So the council will let people know about new planning policies in a number of ways. Mail outs. We will write or email anyone who's asked to be kept informed. Please, people can register on our online consultation portal to receive updates. So I think kind of using that would be really useful to inform people, actually, this is a way to keep informed, because some people don't know about that, I suppose.
Yeah. Just to add to that, we are registered. The town council's registered. Yeah,
so we're registered, but I suppose for people to be kept up to date with the local plan or local plan review, then they'd have to go onto that website, register their interest in district-wide planning. So the next one, online. We will put information on our website and use social media to keep people up to date. Okay, well, they'd have to kind of go onto TDC social media, I suppose, and look on the website regularly. Local press, we will advertise consultations in the local paper. Whenever there is a formal consultation stage, the council will publicise this through press releases and the website. The council will seek to maximise its use of email and the website to advertise the public of consultation documents and encourage the use of online consultations. Paper copies will be available for inspection at council offices and, where necessary, other appropriate locations, for example, relevant libraries. Anyone who is unable to access the internet can request a paper copy to be made available in their local library. The council will receive comments via its online consultation portal, email, or post. At some formal stages of the process, those making representations will be encouraged to use the official forms provided by the Planning Inspectorate for making comments, although all comments submitted, where appropriate, will still be registered. Representations made by telephone cannot be registered as formal representations. Any comments made verbally must be confirmed in writing. We are unable to accept anonymous comments. The council uses its online consultation portal for all public consultations on planning policy issues. People can register, select their area of interest, then simply log on to use the portal to view or comment on consultations, view responses to close consultations, or update their contact details. People making comments using the portal can start their comment and come back to them later. The portal will save them and save an automatic acknowledgement once comments have been finalised and submitted. Well, that's good. The consultation document and any other relevant documents will be available on the portal. Once a consultation has closed, all comments received will be made available on the portal. Those who have registered on the portal will receive email updates about the documents they're interested in. The council also actively encourages people to use our online consultation portal to reduce costs and paper use, save taxpayers' money, and help protect the environment. The council officers will enter all comments received by email or post into the online consultation portal to make it easier for us to assess responses, publish the results of a public consultation, and send comments to inspectors, examiners at the independent assessment stage. Can you scroll down a little bit, please, Jill?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Inputting comments into the online portal relies on the interpretation of them by council officers. This can be very time consuming and cause delay to the local plan process. Where long and complex representations are submitted on paper or by email, an administration fee may be charged when they have to be entered manually by officers. Based on previous experience, it is anticipated that the vast majority of representations would not be affected by a fee charge. In order to avoid any misinterpretation or misunderstanding of your representations or administration charges, we would encourage people to use the online consultation portals themselves. Unless an email address is provided in postal responses, the council's online portal, consultation portal, will generate letters for any further communication. The council may receive more than one letter from one.
Oh, where's the rest of it gone? Oh, I think there's a page missing. Hold on, I'll read that for you. Household, but each letter is treated as an individual response. This will mean that individual letters to people from the same household who have all replied by post to a consultation. The consultation and participation carried out for different documents will vary depending on the nature of the documents being prepared. Table 1 shows the methods of consultation that could be used. The council use one or more of the methods identified as being appropriate, depending on the type, nature, context and stage in the process of the consultation concerned. In the event that face-to-face consultation methods are not possible for whatever reason, the council will seek to make fuller use of alternative methods of consultation and engagement. Formal and informal consultations will be carried out by staff from the strategic planning team in conjunction with the council's communications team, who have relevant expertise and resources in delivering public consultation and involvement. So then you've got the top of what you can see there is the bottom of the table, which has methods of consultation to consider. So the first method is advert leaflet in local paper, and that gives you how it's useful and things for them to consider and the resources. Then they've got the council website and online consultation. Again, that's got the same useful for and for us to consider and resources. Then council social media, documents available for inspection. And then it carries on with the exhibitions, drop-in sessions that you can see now on your screen. Do you want me to continue with that table?
That's fine. No, we can see it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. I think with regards to this, I think, this is all very welcome. I'd like that sort of as a comment that this table, is a very welcome table. So the fact that it's been split into methods, it's useful for, and then things for us to consider. I quite like looking at that to see kind of what they might consider in that. However, with regards to the local plan consultation, we didn't have the initial informal consultation. We did have some workshops, but we didn't see how those workshops then fitted into the information that was gathered from them. And it didn't, the local plan didn't seem to make reference to those workshops. So we spent a lot of time at a workshop, I think it was in the town hall, Councillor Crawford, and run by, I can't remember the name of the consultant, Mrs. COCH, German, Angela Koch. And you know, we spent a lot of time with that workshop, but we didn't actually see any output from that. So, you know, it's good to have the workshops, but then it would then be useful to then see how that input and our time and effort in that workshop was then incorporated into the plan. So a bit of feedback would have been useful for that. And again, sort of when we engaged to the consultation, there wasn't a clear document that we were then sent to say, these were the sort of general concerns, this is the reason why we're going to take them on board, this is what we're going to do about it. Or this is these concerns, this is the reason why we're not taking them on board, and this is the legal backing as to why we're not taking them on board. And just a very clear document to explain that would have been really useful, because it felt like our advice just went into a black hole. Do other councillors have any comments to make? Councillor Page.
Just backing up what you've just said, because I did make notes very similar to that myself. But I think the important point also is it wasn't just the town council's amount of work that went into it. It was the amount of participation of residents at the workshop itself, providing ideas, feedback. You know, there was a lot of interaction with those residents, and they put a lot into that. And it would have been helpful for them also to have had a report from it that reflected what happened on the day.
Exactly. Councillor Cornford.
Going back, the 4.2, where they're talking about telephoning and the fact that you can't make submissions by phone, which is fine, but you have to ring up, obviously, if you're, let me backpedal, if you haven't got internet, which a huge number of people in the area do not have, because as we all know, we are 65% over retirement age, and 65% is quite a lot when it comes to a consultation. Would they provide a telephone number? Because there's nothing here. Mind you, having looked at that, there's no website address either. So presumably they provide that. And 4.4, the fee charges. That's not a very welcome inclusion, because that will mean that anybody who writes in will be charged a fee for having it input onto the system, unless I've got that completely wrong.
I think it's only when people write reams and reams and reams and reams, who I can guess who one of somebody could be. I'm sure you know who I'm thinking of. And then they have to transfer it over, so that I think they said, you know, most of them, they've never had to do this before, but they just wanted to make people aware of it. So majority of emails can be transcribed into the correct kind of layout. So it says, based on previous experience, it is anticipated that the vast majority of representations would not be affected by fee charges. But they're encouraging people to use online consultation portals themselves. So I think for us, it's the feedback that even us as a town council, when we were trying to use the consultation portals, especially for the local plan, it was so long, it was so confusing. You didn't know like where to scroll to get to the question that you wanted to input into. So I think if we could feedback on that the consultation portal and the questions on there for the local plan was very confusing for us, and we found it very hard to input. So that's the reason why I think we ended up emailing a statement about the particular things that we were concerned about, because it made more sense to us. Councillor Cornford.
It's also hugely discriminatory to older residents in the way that you input to a consultation. You know, it encourages people, online consultation. We encourage people to use online consultation portal. Well, like I said, there are a lot of people who cannot use the internet. Mind you, there again, it's down to us to promote the fact that they can come in and use the town council office computers. So we need to we really need to get that out there, because this is such an important this is such an important consultation in view of the planning white paper that's come out. Because there are some really serious changes and we can only input at certain stages. There's none of this, there won't be any of us talking about, you know, application number, blah, blah, will there? It'll all be done beforehand. And, you know, that's a big change, because I mean, look at what's happening with the planning with the housing at Westgate. It's been going on since 2015, and it's only once the application comes in that people go, whoa, wake up, look what's happening. We don't like this. We don't want to have our agricultural land built on. They don't wake up at the very beginning stages, which is when all this input, when all the white planning input, you know, that's when it's going to be. It's changing completely. Mm. So this is very, very important. So we need to, well, I suggest that we make it widely known that people can come in and use the town council facilities. You know, we're there to support the community, and that's one of the things that we can really support with consultation.
Yeah, I think this would be really useful for us to input into this, but also, as you said, start to think about how then we can assist residents going forward. So, you know, encouraging them to come in to use the town council computer if they need to, and giving them a little bit more structure on how to input into planning applications. I think that's a really good point. Was there any other comments? No. So, Jill, are we kind of at the end of this?
So you've got number 5 next.
Okay. So what happens to comments that the council receives? Once a formal consultation has ended, the council will analyse all comments received and identify any changes to be made as a result. This does not apply to proposed submission documents, as these responses are considered by the planning inspector. The council recognises that it is important to report back to the community and other stakeholders on how their comments and suggestions have been taken on board. The council does not respond to each individual comment, but it does respond to common issues that are raised. The council will publish feedback to all consultations on its website and in document format, e.g. committee reports. Anyone who has submitted comments will be contacted by email or by post to advise them when feedback is available. I don't remember them doing that. Unless this is something new, I don't remember getting an email to say that feedback is available. Or am I wrong, Jill? Can you remember if we got an email to say that, thank you for feeding into the local plan consultation, here's the feedback?
I don't think we had a particular email, but I think it's been known that you can look online. But it's clearly, you get so many comments. I mean, it's like the Gallups application now. I mean, there's so many, you know, to go through every single document that's on there for that particular, you know, it's hugely onerous. And it was the same with the local plan. You know, there were so many lines to go through to, you know, I mean, if you want to spend a week looking through all what everyone said, I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's been widely known that it's there, but it's, you know, if big things like this, it does become quite onerous to scroll through and look at everything.
But I think it says that what it's saying is that it responds to common issues that are raised, and the council will publish feedback to all consultations. So what I've seen before in consultations is that they'll have like a table to say a number of residents or many residents were concerned about this aspect. This is what we've done about it, or this is what we've not done about it, and this is the reason why. And I didn't ever see that. And I think that if we can possibly feed that back,
Raise that.
to say that that's what we'd expect, really. So, you know, many people were concerned about the use of agricultural land. This is the reason why we can't take this into account. It's government law, and therefore, you know, it's not to do with TDC. And then it would have been helpful then to have said, you know, if residents are concerned about this issue, go to your MP, because this is an issue that needs to be taken up by central government. This is not something that TDC can do anything about. So that would be a really nice kind of feedback and help people, because otherwise you just get stuck. And then you think, well, they can't do anything about it. So what should we do? Because we're still concerned about it. So I think kind of just feedback like that would have been really useful.
I think what it's saying as well, a lot of it goes into their committee reports. So, I mean, I suppose if you really followed all the meetings at TDC, those would be where you'd find it, the committee reports. So, but yeah, no, I'll put that down as feedback for this.
Yeah, so then that would be like a table that came back to say the town council, which then is a nice loop then, isn't it, to say, you know, you fed into this, now we're feeding back to you. So 5.2, comments submitted to us cannot be made anonymously and will be made public alongside the person's name, and if relevant, the name of the organisation, body or person being represented. In accordance with GDPR, no contact or other personal information will be published, will only be used for purposes of planning consultation. Privacy statement, blah, blah, blah. Each planning policy requires a statement of consultation which will outline how the SCI has been followed and how the main issues raised during the consultation has been addressed. Oh, okay. So maybe there is a statement of consultation for the local plan where they state how the main issues raised during the consultation has been addressed, but we just didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay.
We weren't made aware of it.
Yeah.
Comments from councillors on this section? No? Have I said it all?
Yes, that's all number 5.
Yep.
Okay, so number 6.
Oh, it goes on.
Yes, it does. Yes, sorry, that was part 1. Then you go 6 to 10. I mean, I don't think you want to read all of this. Basically, then this is all the types of planning policy documents, local planning documents, and it clearly lays out stages, which I thought was really helpful actually for things like the neighbourhood plan. It tells you what, you know, the regulation 18, regulation 19 and 20, and then a submission to Secretary of State, independent examination, inspector's report, then the consultation on proposed modification. So this is the local plan, and then full council for adoption and monitoring and review. So I thought that was really good to lay out all the steps. And then,
so hopefully everybody has read this. I read it earlier. So I think once again with section 6 is just to say that we didn't kind of, you know, we don't feel that we were really engaged in that informal section at the beginning, and there's a number of, you know, gaps that we didn't really feel like we were engaged. Councillor Cornford.
Going to 9.2, where it talks about the letters and the signs on the street. They're saying that they're going to use both of these methods. Well, in the past, that hasn't happened. And we were told that they don't need to put signs out. So that's...
sorry, you've jumped to section 9, haven't you?
Yes, sorry, I thought we were having general discussion as it was. It can wait.
Thank you.
Has anybody got any comments for the local plan consultation section? Councillor Page.
I felt it was very useful to have it laid out in this way. It clarifies a lot of things and gives you step-by-step understanding of the process, and I thought it was very well laid out.
Yep, thank you. Okay,
And then it goes on to the neighbourhood plans and talks about the key stages of the neighbourhood plans, and talks about the Localism Act, which gives powers to the community to make their own planning proposals and decisions. It talks about stage 1 is a neighbourhood area designation. Stage 2, preparing the plan. Stage 3, the plan submission. Stage 4, examination. Stage 5, referendum. And stage 6, adoption. Yeah, so that's all that
Any
section.
comments on that section? Apart from the fact that it was useful? Nope.
Okay,
Thank you.
so the next section is where to get help with a planning issue. And this is where you've got all your contact details. And they've helpfully put in the locality information, the Royal Town Planning Institute, the National Association of Local Councils, NALC, Campaign to Protect Rural England, which I thought was a really good idea. Yeah, so they're in addition to, obviously, hopefully they'll have their own information at the bottom somewhere.
Yeah, I thought that section was good and perhaps feeds into what Councillor Cornford's saying with regards to how we can help residents. That could be used in a document if we were going to produce something to assist residents to engage in planning. No other comments on that section? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. So number 9, planning applications and submissions.
So this is Councillor Cornford's point.
Yes. Yeah, 9.2, where it talks about letters are sent to the adjacent neighbours, and for larger proposals, a wider area depending on the scale of the proposed development. Consultation letters invite responses to be made within 21 days of the date of the letter, and site notices are displayed near the application site inviting comments within 21 days of the date of the site notice being put up. So yeah, Councillor Cornford was saying that they don't necessarily do both. So we want to comment that we feel that it's important to do both. Yeah.
Councillor Cornford?
Yeah, it's just worrying that they say that this is what they do because they're really concerned that they reach out to as many people as possible who are involved with the application, and therefore they use both methods. Whereas actually in practice, that's far from what happens. That's a concern. So
Have you
yes,
got
that's
an
fine.
example, Councillor Cornford, of that?
Oh, that's like trying to remember a detail. It's happened. Yes, we've had it. I can't remember any specific applications, but I know that we have looked at whether or not it's a legal requirement for a notice to be put up. It's been that significant. We've actually checked it out.
I think there was one example, it might be Sussex Avenue with a factory down that road, and some people had letters and some people didn't, and then there wasn't a sign on the lamppost. So I think that was a couple of years ago. I remember one example. With regards to the local plan, I think has everybody in Westgate had a letter through about this, or is it just no? So it might just be on our side. I think a lot of people have had a letter through their door about it. And then we also had this was included in the letter, which is quite a good document actually on how to take part. So a guide to making comments on planning applications. How can I give my views? What sort of things will be taken into account? What cannot be taken into account? How does the council decide a planning application? Will my views be considered? Can my ward councillor speak on my behalf? Etc, etc. So that was quite a nice document actually that came through with it. So perhaps we could use something like this if we were going to give some advice, particularly for residents. So So that was quite useful actually.
When did you,
Sorry, Councillor Cornford.
when did you receive that?
So that was a good number of weeks ago when they started the consultation for the local plan. So I think everybody in these roads adjacent to the master plan application got a letter to say this is what's happening, and there's all the signs down on the lampposts, and also this guidance as well.
No, we haven't had that. Is that Councillor Page also saying that she hasn't had one?
No, I haven't seen that at all.
No, I haven't either. We haven't had anything like that, because I certainly would have picked up on it, because that's really useful information.
So I wonder how they chose who to tell. Jill.
Yeah, just to say that leaflet that you're talking about is routinely sent out to anyone that comments on planning applications. We routinely send them at the town council, so I have a number of these, and so it'd be very easy to photocopy them and have those available for residents.
It would be useful to find out who had letters through the doors with regards to the application. I suppose they're saying it's adjacent neighbours to the master plan, so maybe you're too far down Victoria Avenue. It's not going to affect you.
It's not going to touch me, of course not.
You won't have any of that traffic, will you, Helen?
None. I won't see a thing.
Okay, that would be interesting to find out. But also, we can use this, which is a really good document actually that they've produced. Okay, so are there any other things that we need to input on?
So this was just talking about planning applications and submissions, and then it's got a table giving you consultation methods for different types of proposed development, which is quite descriptive. I think that's the end of section 9. And it actually gives you all the legal references as well, which is quite useful. Yeah, so that is section 9 with that table, and then it talks about yeah, the planning applications and submissions.
Okay, great. Are there any final comments on this? Councillor Cornford.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it is a really well, it's well put together, and it does have lots of information in it. It's just, it just makes me wonder. The theory is always great. It's just the putting it into practice, implementing it, that's really important.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think from our point of view, we didn't feel completely properly consulted, especially from the beginning, and especially given the impact of the houses on our area. So that really was lacking, and that we felt that really we should have been one of the main consultees in the pre-consultation involvement, and it seemed like we were kind of left out because they knew that they'd have problems. Councillor Cornford.
Well, just very, very recently, Birchington were left out as consultees for their highways plans. Birchington Parish Council, the people who are very able, the people who know their area, were left out of the consultation. I mean, how are you going to get the best possible results by doing that?
Okay, but now that it's down on paper, now we are clear what's supposed to happen, and then if it doesn't happen, we can say, oh, is it all right if we have, if we are consulted in this way, please? So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so is everybody happy? Can we move on to the next agenda item? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I couldn't get to my other page. So planning decisions made. Land the rear of 37C Road, Westgate-on-Sea, erection of a 2-bed semi-detached dwelling fronting St Clement's Road with associated parking, permission granted. 15 Quecks Road, Westgate-on-Sea, the replacement of timber windows and doors with UPVC on front elevation was withdrawn. So significant previous approved and awaiting applications. Was there anything that we needed to discuss here? Councillor Cornford, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's really interesting about 7B and the fact it was withdrawn, because that's the one we talked about being in a conservation area and how it would, you know, it's important to maintain those features because it is in a conservation area, which is the features that put it there. So that's interesting and positive. That's positive. So.
Yeah, I think in that whole section there, it's, you know, it's really quite prominent, the lovely wooden doors and the wooden sash windows, and so the plastic does stick out like a sore thumb in that conservation area. Okay, so if we move on, Councillor Bambridge will be pleased. We're now onto the planning application. Sorry, 18 Harold Avenue, Westgate-on-Sea. An ash removal of 3 limbs. Now we asked our TDC tree warden about this and we've had a response. Need to bring them up.
Have you got it? So I've got it here.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant. I haven't actually got it in front of me, but I know that there was no concerns by the tree warden with regards to even these limbs being removed.
No, that's right. He went out on site. He said the tree is in the rear garden of the property. The tree appears in good health and has a good natural shape and form for this species of tree. The proposed works are raise crown, removing 3 limbs as specified on photographs included on the portal. The health of the tree, it does appear in good health. And the recommendation was the work will be fine and will still retain a tree of relatively good shape and form.
Excellent. So if I propose no comment then, with regards to this. Yep, Councillor Cornford is seconding, and all in favour? Thank you. So next one, The Knot, 20 Beach Road, Westgate-on-Sea, change of use of a microbrewery to mixed use to include education facility, medical facility and public house and microbrewery. So do I have someone to start on this? Councillor Page?
I think the confusing thing about this particular application is the change of use, referring to education facility and medical facility, as well as the micro pub and pub. And looking through the documents, I think it's, to my view anyway, obvious that these are going to be rooms that are going to be let out for use. And I think the wording of education facility and medical facility have been taken from the planning, the description of planning use, to cover the need to put this through on an application. On the application, hours of opening, the form says it's not relevant to this purpose, but if this facility is going to be rented out for use by external people, I think it would be important to know what the hours of opening are, because it could be used by anybody for any purpose. So we have medical facilities in the area, but it could be something that could be rented out to therapists, for instance, in which case, if it's being partly run as a business for other people's use, hours of business would be necessary to be divulged. But I think we do need clarification as to what kind of education facility or medical facility may be planned, and a little bit more detail around that, because there are schools and language schools in the area. There's already medical provision between Westgate and Westbrook. So I do think the intention here is just to rent the space. It's a question of wording.
Councillor Wallen, did you have a comment to make?
Not really anymore. No, that's fine. No.
It's similar to Councillor Page's.
Yeah.
Councillor Cornford. You're on mute. Just keep yourself off mute. It's fine.
I know. I just don't. Scrabbling around with papers. Yes. Sorry. The original application in 2017. That was for the flats and the micro pub underneath. How it got built without actually including the micro pub is a query. We've moved on since then, and at that time there weren't any objections. Now we've got serious development in the area, very serious development. We've got the St Mildred's buildings and we've got St Mildred's Cafe. Parking is an issue. There is a car park there, but it's a charging car park. Residents over a year ago, 2019, were talking about not being able to park outside their premises. It's been badly overdeveloped. And all these facilities, where are people going to park? Because they've built on the actual not car park. It's overcrowding. You know, it's far away from the original application which was granted in 2017.
So I think the original application was approved on the basis that a micropub would be kept because it needed to have some community use associated with it, rather than just turning a big pub into a whole load of flats and houses. They wanted a stipulation that there'd be a community use associated. Then they had a rear extension. Then the rear extension turned into 3 townhouses, but the microbrewery was always kept at the bottom there. So now, for some reason, instead of it being a full microbrewery at the bottom there, they're changing it to microbrewery and then education facility and medical facility. So it's kind of the microbrewery has been kept there all along. They've never kind of they've never got rid of that section. It's the change of use is from a microbrewery to a microbrewery. I don't really know, like there must be a teeny microbrewery to education facility and a medical facility as well. And I'm just wondering whether really CM02, the protection of existing community facilities, has been looked after. So if we're really going to change it from a microbrewery, is having an education facility and especially a medical facility, I mean, do you go to the doctors and dentists to go and meet with friends? Is that really a community use? So I'm a bit concerned that it's, you know, that the whole reason for the microbrewery at the bottom was for community use, and now it's gone from community use to medical, like a doctor's or a dentist's surgery. So from my point of view, it doesn't meet the criteria that it was set out to. If you then do a change of use from a microbrewery to a dentist or doctor's room, even if they keep the an area where they're making beer or something. But I think the whole point was to have a community use there, but it's kind of deciding on what kind of community use that should be, I think. But I'm not convinced that a medical facility is a community use. Councillor Page.
That's why I think we need more explanation as to what is actually going to be done here. Because if anybody's going to consider a medical facility or a dental facility, surely there needs to be work done in conjunction with the NHS and the local authority before you can provide anything of that nature. So I do feel that it needs to be looked into, because that's why in my first introduction, I said that I believe that they're lifting those phrases and words from planning wording to cover the application. And I think it does need to be looked into further to find out what real use this is going to be used for. Because the intention is to keep the microbrewery, that's quite clear, but you can't do everything within that amount of space within that building. It's quite confusing as to what they really intend here.
I think it's been sort of a bit of a gingerbread man kind of step by step on the fox's back to where they wanted it in the first place. It's a little bit, it's gone from, you know, this pub with a stipulation of a microbrewery at the bottom for community use to being quite, you know, getting much larger, then sort of going from flats to then townhouses. And now it seems like, you know, whatever kind of they put in the bottom there, people are going to then be concerned that there's not enough parking for that kind of community use. So it's starting to look a bit tricky, but from my point of view, medical facility it was not the intention of the original plan. And I don't think that if the application had come in to say, can we change the pub into all these flats and we have a medical facility underneath, I don't think that's, you know, I don't think that would have been approved. I think it was only approved because of this community space. So from my point of view, I'd be rejecting it on the fact that it's not keeping community space where it was supposed to. Councillor Page?
I think also there needs to be a little further investigation into any background legalities, because there's a public objection on this application where a resident refers to a codicil being in place, which states that there must be a hostelry on this site. Now, hostelry is a very old-fashioned word, but it usually meant in the past a pub or an inn or a drinking establishment. But if there's a legal codicil in place, that should be sought and looked into carefully to ensure that such a thing is kept in place on this property, if that's the case.
I think it was the case. Councillor Cornford?
Do we want to take advantage of our ward councillor's suggestion?
Oh, Councillor Banbridge, I don't know if you've suggested anything, but would it be possible to call this in, because it is a complex one with regards to, you know, I think this was viewed as a community asset value, you know, asset value, and that pub was, you know, quite important to a lot of people, and I think they did put stipulations on it to have this community use, and this just seems to be a bit of a questionable move.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I saw that there'd been a couple of objections on this planning application, and wanted to find out if you had, you know, any further information. I mean, 'cause obviously things have changed, haven't they, now that we've got the PAVS development there as well. I wasn't aware, thanks, Councillor Page, that there was a codicil, that there was a hostelry on site. There's not an ale house there at the moment, is there?
I think
I don't believe so.
Is there not?
Well, that's what I found confusing, because I thought there'd never been a micro pub, because I don't remember it opening or seeing anybody go in there.
Councillor Wallen knows.
Yeah, as I remember it, it was originally planning for it to be a micropub, and I don't recall there being a microbrewery being part of it, but the micropub never turned up. All a bit strange, but microbrewery seems a strange thing to put in there. Micropub, great idea, but microbrewery, not that practical.
If what Councillor Page said is right, then that sounds like they're putting that in there because of the codicil of the having the hostelry on site, and it's almost like they don't really want it. They're just
the micropub would be the, you know, would meet the terms. Microbrewery seems an odd bit to put with it. You rarely get breweries inside buildings that are also public housing. I've never known of one before.
Well, the people do live above pubs.
Yeah, above pubs, but not generally above breweries.
I think it was just the stipulation that there be some kind of community space still kept there because of the fact that it was a pub.
Yeah, and a micro pub sorts that out, no problem. A microbrewery seems a strange concept, and I don't recall it from what originally was on the planning, but certainly a micro pub, and that makes perfect sense, provided they've still got the room for it.
Yeah, but yeah, they've made sort of that they're including the microbrewery to make sure that they can meet this stipulation, I think, that was made at the beginning. Councillor Comfort.
Yeah, just to underline the fact that it was they do definitely have to have a hostelry or public house of some nature there, because that is, as Councillor Page said. The clerk's got something to say.
Jill.
Oh, thank you. I'm just looking through at the material planning considerations, and incompatible or unacceptable uses is a material planning consideration. I don't know if you wanted to add that to what you've been saying.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's because of the stipulations from the very beginning that it was approved with a microbrewery on site, or a micropub. And the reason for that is that it was going to be kept as a meeting space for people, and medical facilities are not usually meeting spaces.
No.
I would just say, to sum it all up, it's rather strange to have education, medical, a pub and a brewery all in the same square few yards, but you know,
You've hit the nail on the head now.
Yeah, they might have done it hundreds of years ago, but we don't really. Shame, really.
You just fix all your problems with a little hot toddy.
Yeah.
Councillor Comfort.
Can we request to have this called in, because it is an important application for the residents living around in that area, and for Westgate as well, and for the site.
Can I have some planning considerations, like overdevelopment? I think I heard someone say. Yeah,
overdevelopment, amenities,
confused usage.
Confused usage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
town clerk.
I think that's incompatible or unacceptable uses. That's the actual material planning consideration. Yeah.
You learned something, Councillor Page.
and the fact that it's got this stipulation. So unless that stipulation is removed, then it still has to have a microbrewery on site. So even if people are not against that, Councillor.
I think people are getting a bit confused between the difference between a microbrewery and a micropub. A hostelry is a micropub. A brewery is a different concept. Breweries often are in industrial estates.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You know, and they create odours and all sorts of things. But a micropub, you know, literally just as a very small pub. That's the hostelry and place for local people to meet. I know we've got now two other places down there that also sell booze, but they're licensed cafes as opposed to micro pubs.
I think, to be honest, the clientele for these places are completely different.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's at the end of the day, it's not a material planning consideration. The planning consideration is that it was approved with this microbrewery, with this micro pub, and the whole reason for that was for a meeting space for people.
Yeah.
So that would be the reason why I'm putting forward the opposition.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I think Councillor Cornford is a bit concerned about there being a micro pub along there.
No, I'm not. No, there has to be, that there has to be that. I'm concerned about the microbrewery and the smell. That is a material consideration from, sort of a more industrial activity. But what I am concerned about is that Councillor Bambridge has got the right information to take back. And what's your time frame for calling it in, Councillor Bambridge?
I'll call it in tomorrow.
Have you got enough information from us?
So basically, there's overdevelopment and it's incompatible and unacceptable uses. There's also no parking there, is there? So I mean, so if this is going to be a medical facility or what was the other one? Medical education facility.
Yeah.
I mean, those presumably those would need some parking.
Yes, well, that's where the incompatible consideration comes in, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah, it could be, but you do have highway issues as well, so you could have that as that's another material planning consideration.
Yeah.
Whereas the microbrewery tends to kind of be quite a local catchment area, and people tend to sort of walk, to that. But that's not usually an issue with a microbrewery.
Micro pub, not microbrewery.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was the important part about what Councillor Wallin said. Brewery and pub, quite different. Hence the smell.
Yeah, I think I've got the planning application up. If I can find it. So they've done quite a very basic. It's quite easy to read. Yeah, it's microbrewery, they keep on saying, so maybe they've got it the same as us. I think they need a micropub because they've said the proposed uses are summarised as below. Microbrewery, it is proposed to maintain the existing brewery use as one of the uses. Healthcare use, it is proposed that the site could accommodate a doctor's surgery or dentist, and then explains that there's the number of dentists in the area. And then education facility, the nearest education centre is the ICM Faith Centre, therefore an education facility would have a benefit to the local community. So I think Councillor Bambridge, I think it takes you about sort of 10 minutes to read through their statement, and it's very simple. It's quite a simple thing, but the main policy is CM02. Which is protection of existing community facilities, and that was the reason why they kept a micropub on site, was to protect or partially protect existing community facilities. And I think that this, by changing it to these other things as well, doesn't protect that, and so therefore it doesn't comply with CM02. If that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cornford.
Sorry, I keep banging on about this. Councillor Bambridge, do you feel you have enough information now to call it in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if I propose that we are rejecting this application on those points, do I have a seconder? Councillor Page, thank you. And all in favour? Thank you. So the next one is erection of a single-storey side extension together with an erection of a single-storey detached outbuilding to the front of the property. So this is 9 St Mildred's Road. It's a property that's tucked quite far back away from St Mildred's Road, quite a large property, and the single-storey extension goes towards the north aspect, and the erection of the single-storey detached outbuilding at the front is a garage. Which seems to be it would be behind a wall, and it doesn't seem like it affects access to the house next to it. Have we got any comments on this application? Councillor Cornford.
Part of the application is right at the front of the property. It's right next to the pavement, which, bearing in mind the Hengist Road application, where it was refused because of the landscaping and the effect on the landscape view, well, not view, but the surrounding area. That's right on the road where you go up and over the bridge. And every other building, every other property is set back. That's the entrance to Westgate. So it's going to really be sat out the front, which I'm not sure is
As you walk along there, and
part
you
of our
kind you're
townscape.
walking along, and then you're kind of just before you get to the bridge, that's the building on the left hand side. Is there's like hedging or a wall there already? So it'll be behind that.
On the
There's
plan,
an entrance.
on
Yeah.
the plan, the red on the design, the building is right on the pavement, unless I'm mistaken.
From what I could see on the block plan, it's the garage, which is nearest to the pavement, is behind some hedging. It's not actually on the pavement.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
wrong then.
Looking at the design, and I think it doesn't jut out. So usually when you're walking along there's an entrance, and the entrance, then you can see number 7, I think it is, or the house that really sits right back. And then to the right of that, then there's this large house. And this application is the larger house on the right. It doesn't say that they're going to remove any trees or hedging. And I think it is set back, but yeah, there is a red block that goes all the way up to the pavement, but I thought that there was something between that and then the pavement. I think we probably need clarity on that, wouldn't we?
I think the garage is a very unusual shape. The thing that occurred to me was access and egress, if they were actually using that particular garage, because it looks as though storage of a vehicle would be angular, and the path coming from the pavement that would be used to go to the house at the back, which is number 7, doesn't appear to be wide enough for a car to turn very easily. So it looks like an odd and very awkward construction.
I think the designs are done by the applicant that we can see.
So according to Google Maps, that's supposed to be number 9. Is that not the case?
Yeah, it is. The house, the applicant's house is number 9.
Okay.
But then there's, so when you look down that gap there, number 7 is right at the back, and then number 9 is to the right of it.
Oh. That bungalow, is that number 7?
So their proposal is to build a garage to the front and add a small room to the right of the property with a flat roof to blend in with the existing kitchen. I think this one is a tricky one because we don't know exactly how it's going to interact with the highways.
Oh, sorry, do you want to, you haven't finished looking, sorry.
So I was looking at other documents. I didn't see that you brought it up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was, I wasn't convinced it was number 9 the way you were talking about it. I wasn't convinced it's the right property.
No,
So
I'm not.
If you scroll, if you turn round, it's the other side of the road.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
that's why.
the building on the corner, that's the one on the corner, and then it's just up from there.
Yeah, it's the next one.
That one.
It's
Yeah,
this
right.
one.
So the
Yeah.
garage would be behind those bushes on the right hand side.
Yeah.
So
Is that helpful?
yeah,
Yes, thank you.
really helpful. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, right, I understand it now.
It is a dropped curb,
Hmm.
but it's not very wide. So if you had a car parked either side, coming in and out could be awkward on that very busy road.
I think they do that anyway, because I think
Do
number 7, yeah, I think there's parking for number 7 up the back there.
Okay.
So it's just a bit strange having the garage at the front, isn't it? And what impact that would have on the street scene.
I'm still not convinced we're looking at exactly the right.
No, we are.
If
It's-
we were looking,
But it's not the one of the driveway, it's the place to the right of it.
yeah, but the access to the place to the right of it is through this bit here. There's not a separate
Right, okay.
access.
Okay, so they're looking at doing it basically behind the telegraph pole.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's not the property we can see, but it's the one on the right that's behind the bushes.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
I think Councillor Crawford, you're right. It's quite an unusual.
It's going to be right there, you know,
Hmm.
where that right here. Right on there isn't much space between the boundary line. There's a sliver between the boundary line and the building. And
There is a gate there as well,
nowhere
isn't there?
else in that road is there, you know, it's classic Westgate. They're all set back, and this is going to be right at the front.
And there's a gate there that they looks like they don't use. 'Cause there's bushes. So they must come in and out that other section.
I mean, it doesn't show any greenery on the plan, which I'm just looking at on my phone. I mean, there's another little extension piece at the back on the north-facing side of the property, but the garage is quite large right at the front.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a planning application for two bits being built, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I don't see why the garage couldn't be put further towards the property and maybe facing south. So it's not right up against the hedge. But I think the impact on the street scene, on Westgate street scene, seeing as this is a heritage area, conservation area, could be a concern for us, I think.
It will be prominent.
Hmm.
Um,
Single story, so it'll be as high as, if you look on the left, it could, you know, it'll be higher than the bushes if you look at a single story of that building on the left.
but not that much higher.
No.
I suppose if the hedging was retained, that would have less, you know, if it was assured that there would be hedging there.
Yeah.
I think we might need to raise concerns about the impact on the street scene and the impact on the conservation area. It's not like they haven't got off-street parking already.
True.
That's not, we're not kind of forcing them to then park on the road by turning this down.
If you look at the Google aerial view of it, they've almost got, or I don't know how the picture is, but they've almost got it as hard standing already.
It is a bit sort of strange that.
It's almost as if they're just encasing what they've already got.
Yeah, and why is it such a strange shape? And it's because they say it's an outbuilding, and then it's suggested it's a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Does anybody want to make a proposal on this now that we've looked at it properly?
They do say it is actually a garage.
Yeah, that one's a garage and the other bit is an extension to the house.
Yeah, it's the existing kitchen.
Yeah, which won't be visible. And it's possibly already covered from some of these plans. They're just solidifying it.
Does anybody want to make a proposal on this? Councillor Cornford?
I'm just asking. I'm just trying to work out. I'm going to have to ask a really naive question. What's an STD dwelling?
Standard.
Standard.
Oh, so, all right, standard. I thought it was something really special. Sorry. Ooh. I didn't see that when I read that. Okay. It talks about the trees and hedges. I mean, I should have read this earlier. I didn't. I'm sorry.
I mean, we can say that, you know, we just have concerns about the impact on the standard
Yes.
scene.
Well, that's what I got hooked up on. And I thought, well, there aren't really trees there because it talks about a tree survey. Sorry, it's not very good, is it? No, our impact on its impact on the townscape, really, isn't it? It just struck me that Hengist Road was turned down on those terms.
What was Hengist Road turned down for?
The landscape, the effect on the surrounding landscape.
The effect on the green wedge.
Oh.
So townscape's just as important, surely, in a conservation area. Maybe I'm wrong.
We can always sort of, you know, add a suggestion that, you know, we're concerned how it might blend in. Jill?
Yeah, so you have got a material planning consideration which says the effect on listed buildings and conservation areas. So you can have that as one of your material planning considerations.
Yes, because it would be the first the first structure right up to the pavement in that road, which is the road, as I said, it's road into Westgate. It's the entrance to Westgate, and all that was built as a setback bungalow or chalet bungalow. And as you say, there is parking there, off-street parking.
Yeah, and I think if you look on the other side of the road, there's no houses that have outbuildings that come all the way to the...
No, all the way down St Mildred's Road.
They're set back with spacing.
Well, the house almost opposite isn't.
Councillor Banbridge, would you like to?
Sorry, Councillor Scott. I'm going to have to leave the meeting. I just wanted to say to you, I'll call the knot in and I'll email you to let you know I've done it tomorrow. If you want me to call in 9 St Mildred's Road because of the impact on the street scene in the conservation area, just email me back and I'll do that as well. Okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor Banbridge.
All right, cheers. Good night, all.
Good night.
Yeah, sorry, from looking at the Google global, you know, above view, there are 2 or 3 properties that do go pretty much up to the edge of the pavement. So it wouldn't be the first on that piece of road.
All right, whereabouts, Councillor Wallen?
Almost directly opposite it, there's a property that goes pretty close to the thing, and then going out of town, past Harold, you get there is at least one there that's all but goes
Whereabouts?
up. The second one in, when you're going out of Westgate, past Harold, the next two on your left, they go pretty close looking at these aerial views.
I can't see that any of those are right up to the front.
Well,
None of those are.
they might be 2 or 3, well, maybe 6 foot away, but they're
No,
close. I don't even know if they're that much.
no, this addition is right up
Yeah, it will
the
be.
boundary wall. And there isn't anything there that's right up to the boundary wall.
No, but this is only a small building, you know, a garage, whereas some of these other places that are only a couple of feet away are entire houses. So that one there on the right, there can't be more than about 4 foot.
Okay, well, it's a majority decision.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you know, in your favour. I mean, that's, you know, it could. We need to make a decision though. But, you know, if you imagine something right there, right up to, that would be a block. But it's, I think we should note that it's not in line with the rest of the street, the townscape. We need to make, don't we?
Sorry, I was on mute. I was wondering why nobody was listening to me. All right. If I make a proposal that we're going to reject this on the grounds of the conservation area and impact on the street scene with regards to the outbuilding up to the pavement, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Cornford. And if we take a vote on that?
Yep.
Okay. Super. I think we're all in favour. Sorry, Councillor Donaldson, I didn't see you. Sorry. Yep. Thank you. Okay.
Are we also going to vote on the extension to the house itself? Because that's part of the application.
Yeah, I think we could add a comment to say that we have no comment with regards to the extension, unless you did have a comment with regards to that.
No.
No, just so they're clear that it's
Yeah.
nothing. It's not about the extension of the side of the house. Thank you. Does anybody want Councillor Bambridge to call this in, or are we going to leave that for the conservation officers and planning officers to look at? I don't think it needs to be called in as such. I think this could be quite a clear cut case.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, lovely. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this meeting. Jill, were there any last comments at all?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, super, lovely. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming along.
Good night.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Chloe. Take
That
care.
was our longest planning meeting, I think.